Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Katrina and this is Today is Friday, June 23rd, so it's the end of the reading week for me, and I wanted to do a wrap up. So the first book that I read was A Witch's Handbook of Kisses and Curses. This is another book by Molly Harper that takes place in the Half Moon Hollow. This time it's a witch coming from outside of the community. She's been sent there by her family in Ireland to find some artifacts that will keep a rival witching family from getting their full powers, the rival witching family being the bad guys. As she's there, she meets a guy next door who she obviously gets into a romance with, because these are comedy romance paranormals. And so I gave this book a 3. It was really enjoyable, but it was more so just passable for what I know that Molly Harper can do. The next book I read was The Devil in Silver by Victor LaValle. I've been calling him LaValle all the time, but I heard him on the audiobook call himself LaValle. So I was very excited about this book, and as usual, you should not let yourself get too excited. I gave it a 2.5. The basic one line of this book is that it is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest meets like the Minotaur story, and it was good, but it seemed to, I really think this author is good with novellas. It just seemed to kind of wander at certain places, and the monster is demystified maybe 3/4 through the book. I didn't understand sometimes, like some of the things that he talked about, the ills of how we treat people in the mental health system and things like that, those were clear, but the horror of it and the tension behind horror and keeping that tension up, it wasn't done. So I was a little disappointed in that, and that's why I gave it a 2.5. The next book I read was Later by Stephen King. I gave it a 3 here on Goodreads, and I don't know why. It's been a while since I read it. Let's see, when did I update this? I updated it on the 17th, so maybe because I have a little bit of time passed from it, but I flew through the book. It is a short book. It's only 248 pages, so I flew through the book. I guess it's from this series that Stephen King is doing that are supposed to be crime novels, but this is more so like one of his classic novels where there's a kid who has basically the Shining. They don't call it the Shining here, but he basically has the Shining. He can see dead people very shortly after they die. So it's like the Shining. He has the Shining, and it's like Sixth Sense, and he even name drops Sixth Sense in here. Like if they die really gruesomely, and that's where some of the grossness comes from. If someone's head was blown off, or if their neck was broke, they'll show up to you, and they'll look like that, and they also can't lie to you. So that part comes in handy. The characters were likable, except for obviously some of the bad guys. But even one of the main bad characters was 3-dimensional. The ending, however, came out of nowhere, and it was bizarre. And to come out of nowhere and be bizarre, and then I was for sure that it was a done thing. It was a set thing. It was sure. But when I was watching some reviews afterwards, people were not sure that what happened. And so I think that was a failure if people don't understand what's going on. It's different than having an ambiguous ending, because I don't think it was ambiguous. I think it was very clear what happened, but a lot of people don't know. And there was no reason for it. It was weird, and I don't know, it was just used for kind of shock value, just for no reason. Like it didn't, I don't think it added very much to the rest of the story. Like, it didn't have any, it connected to a very tiny mystery. But if that mystery was never answered, it would have been fine. Many people don't know this certain thing, and in reality, and so that I would not have thought about it if the story would have ended before that weird twist at the end. So I enjoyed the book. I always enjoy Stephen King's books for the most part. I enjoy his writing. I enjoy living inside the people, his protagonists' heads. I enjoy just how he writes. But at the same time, this was a different sounding character. And that was interesting to me, for somebody to be 70 years old and still be able to write children convincingly. And this child we go from when he was 5 or 6 up until he's an adult. And to also be fresh in how they write, I find that great. I find that just a mark of a talented person. He's not retreading old territory. That is very, very admirable to me. However, there is a very, very, very big thing that shows up in this book that connects to the Dark Tower series and to it. So look out for that. That's really cool. The next book I read was The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. This is the first series in the Magpie series, and is it called? No, it's called Susan Ryland, #1. And then the next book in the series is The Moonflower Murders. So both of these books have full novels in the book. I think that is so cool. So I'm gonna read what I said. I didn't know I wrote an actual review. I don't always read reviews. My husband questioned why I gave this 4 stars instead of 5. I said my criteria for 5 is that I'll go back to the world and visit, like I do with Game of Thrones, The Magicians, and Outlander, or recommend it to everyone. He said I had come back to this world. I read the second book first accidentally. That made me pause, but I don't know if continuing in a series means the same as comfort rereading a series. And so I think this still gets an excellent 4 star, maybe 4.5. If you love old-fashioned whodunits, Agatha Christie's grandson even shows up as a character in the stories, books within books, English countrysides with lots of murder, like Midsummer Murders, layered with more modern types of mystery and drama, this book series is for you. The last book that I completed is The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory, and this is a Black woman, white male interracial romance. It reads like a rom-com, and it was cute. I gave it 2.5 stars. The meet cute is on an elevator. He asks her to go to a wedding with him. After they get stuck in the elevator for a while, he thinks she's cute. They have a nice conversation. Once they're rescued from the elevator, then he asks her to go to this wedding. And they pretend it's fake dating. That's the trope that's going on here. So they fake date, and then they realize they actually like each other. And then they go back and forth, seeing each other on the weekends, and they have sex and eat a lot. That's it. And then there's the third act miscommunication trope, and then they realize they like each other. The end. So it was kind of stilted, and I have to say that I didn't. I need to look her up. I listened to this on audiobook. And the narrator, I don't like her. I don't like her delivery. And that might have added to a little tiny bit of why I didn't like it or enjoy the experience as much, but not enough for me to add like another half star. I think it's interesting when a lot of people complain about the miscommunication trope. We all miscommunicate. I really don't understand that. The majority of our issues in relationships are miscommunication. So it's a common complaint in reviews for romances and things like that. They just cannot stand the trope of the people miscommunicating. And I'm like, We all miscommunicate. I've been married to my husband for 14 years and we still miscommunicate on a daily basis. And like they're like, well, they're just adults, just talk. We talk and we still miscommunicate. He still doesn't hear what I'm saying, or I still mishear what he's saying, or don't understand what's under it, or because of the mood I'm in, I may take something that's a joke as something serious and get mad or whatever. It's such an odd critique that I hear a lot in against these kinds of books. So those are the last books. Those are the books that I completed. I have to give those of you who don't necessarily have anything to say something to interact with me on. Let's do with weddings. I don't know what kind of maybe a lady in a veil, anything wedding related for the wedding date. Let's do that as our end of the, let's put it over here because I don't want to cover my pretty girl. Let's put over here wedding related emoji. Otherwise, let me know what books you've read in the comments, or what do you think about the miscommunication trope. Again, be easy on yourself, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.